Welcome to the PrepZone show presented by Bevill State. I'm your host, Johnathan Bentley, joined with my co-host, Zach McCullar. Zach, we just got a couple weeks left of this football season. It's a really sad time of year.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if you like basketball, but it's,
I mean, I like basketball fine, but it's not football.
Yeah, it's not the same. And I do like Auburn basketball. Maybe they'll do better than the football team this year.
Wow.
Alabama's ranked.
That's true. Well, maybe not for long after getting embarrassed by Ohio State. But Alabama basketball, they've got chances to redeem themselves this month and into the next in January,
They'll
too.
be fine.
They got Purdue and Creighton and all those good teams to play.
Yeah, a really tough schedule.
Man,
Speaking of basketball, everybody needs to get out and watch Bevill State.
Yes.
They're playing this year at Songer Gym while they redo their own facility, which needed it.
Yeah, that's true.
It had been a
Very
long
much so.
time. Yeah.
I can't wait to see it when it gets done.
Yeah, it's going to be really – they put a lot of money into this thing. So go Bears always. So we're going to start today with kind of going over our football season, high school. It's winding down. There's only a couple weeks left in that, actually.
That's right.
We have the semifinals this week and then the finals next week. Unfortunately, nobody around here made it.
Yeah, that's a tough break, but scheduling, I've said it a million times, it's weird state tiebreakers, weird state rules that have cost our teams the opportunity. We thought Lynn may have a chance to go to Tuscaloosa, but they ran into Coosa Christian too early, and that kind of fell apart. Corner hit a buzzsaw with West Morgan. Tiebreakers really decimated their playoff hopes, and Dora got stunned in the first week by Priceville, and things just completely fell apart once we got to postseason.
Yeah, and I hate that. It kind of followed suit. The season was kind of not that great either.
Right.
It was a rough year for county teams. But moving on, so we're going to name our three player of the year candidates.
Yes, our finalists.
Yeah, this is our finalists. We'll mention them coming up in a few next week probably. But all right, you want to talk about any of these in particular?
I sure will. The first one, I'll take Cale Tittle, Lynn. Yeah, big surprise that he's on this list.
It's pretty good.
He is one of the best high school football players that you're going to see on the gridiron anywhere around here. He was 119 of 179 passing, 2,177 yards with 26 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. Mm-hmm. He ran the ball 162 times for 1,357 yards. That's an average of about 8.5 yards per carry, 27 rushing touchdowns. Then he played defense. He got 33 tackles on the season, 3 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, and he took one of them home for 58 yards and a touchdown. So he's going to finish this season off with 54 touchdowns. That's insane.
Yeah, that's like state record type stuff.
Definitely.
I hope Lynn realizes this is like a generational player.
Right.
I mean, this won't happen every year. I mean, it was really good last year, and he actually took it up a level. It's hard to do.
It's very hard to do.
So I'll talk about our second guy. It's Brendan Connor, the quarterback senior also, like Tittle.
Right.
Unfortunately, we don't get another year of these guys.
Oh, that's painful.
It's not like a COVID year.
Right.
Like Will Rogers, who's going to be, I think, 7th year.
Yeah, Mississippi State and all that.
Yes, but Connor, these guys completed a lot of passes here. 105 of 184. I mean, this 4A competition is pretty
That's right.
tough.
That's tough teams you're playing every week.
For 1,655 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He rushed for 858 with another 18 touchdowns.
8 yards per carry rushing, too.
Yeah, I mean, that's
goodness.
Incredible. So 38 touchdowns in 4A, that's pretty good.
Very good.
Playing teams like Dora and Oak Grove and Northside and
West Morgan, especially.
West Morgan.
Yeah.
Can you believe West Morgan lost last week?
That was such a shock.
28-27. That tells you how good Cherokee County is.
There's a lot of good teams in 4A.
Yeah, 4A is
top
really
heavy.
tough. But the main thing this is Connor's first year to start.
Wow.
What if this guy had been starting a couple years? I mean,
he could be breaking school records.
Yeah, 38 touchdowns in his first year to start. So, the thing about Corner is the season they had, where it kind of sets things separate here. They had set records for wins in a season, consecutive wins. They started, I think, 8-0.
It's a lot like Meek last year.
And it's points in a year. Yeah, it's a lot like this is this year's Meek.
And so maybe next year we'll have somebody that comes up out of nowhere.
Maybe next year, who knows, Cordova could be here or something.
Definitely.
That'd be nice. All right, so you want to talk about our last guy on this list?
Keyshawn Pryor, who basically played any position on Dora that was available. As a quarterback, he was 73 of 117, 1,129 yards, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was an effective runner as well with 89 carries for 640 yards, a nice 7.2 yard average, and 11 touchdowns. He also played some receiver on the season. He tallied 13 catches, 276 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he just moved all over the place. And the funny thing is, I mean, last year he was our county player of the year.
Right.
So Pryor's just doing it again. These are all senior quarterbacks, by the way. All of them gone. Which really, it's going to be tough to replace these guys. It's a lot of touchdowns.
People will rise up and replace them. We're going to have people like this every year.
Yeah, because who would have thought Connor, who had never started, would put up numbers like this? We'll have some surprises every single year. But, I mean, Dora had a great year. I just hate it ended the way it did. But it doesn't take away from what they did this year. Another region championship. All right, so now we also have a coach of the year. And this is whereas I think there's a pretty clear front runner for player.
Right.
This is a lot closer.
It is.
So we got Mark Hastings to start off. Lynn 10-2 again, second round. Kind of similar to what they did last year.
Very
lost
similar.
To Coosa. Lost to a very, very good Coosa team that, by the way, followed up the Lynn win by beating Hackleburg by 50. So Lynn was just in a bad spot. They should have got them last week or maybe even this week, but they just got them early. You want to mention the other guy?
Next one? Our next man is corners Trent Campbell, who set all these records, like you mentioned, wins in a row, wins in a season. His team goes 10-2, makes the second round of the playoffs. Your only losses are to Bevill and West Morgan. Those are not bad losses. 10-2, it's the first 10-win season in program history, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely had an outstanding season. We're lucky to have a man like that in the county coaching.
Yes. First year also. It's kind of like Connor.
Right.
Those two came in together and boom. I mean, and Corner is a program that goes back, like the 40s.
Oh, yeah.
Had never won 10 games before.
They've done it now.
Yeah. They set the bar high this year. I know last of the three is Ryan Hall. You can't, take away from this guy. They went 3-8 last year. They won their only 3 games they needed. It's like Carbon Hill, Midfield, and Tarrant.
Right.
So they made the playoffs, kind of snuck in there and got beat. This year, 7-4. So it's a complete turnaround. Those guys had experience. They were a lot better. Unfortunately, they ran into Mars Hill in open.
Yeah, that's brutal.
We had a lot of bad luck in the playoffs.
Maybe next year that'll turn around.
Yeah. But as Hall has said before, if you want to play top competition, come to Oakman because they play Fife and Piedmont and somebody else they never get an easy draw.
That's true. But it is such a proud program, and 3-8 was obviously a bad season by Oakman standards. 7-4, they can build off that, and they can go back to 10-win seasons.
I think they will. Just give Hall time. They'll be even better next year, I think. All right, so unfortunately, we're going to move to college football and talk about the Florida State-Florida game. So I wrote down here.
I know these are painful memories for you.
So we had the Iron Bowl last week, and that was another classic, right?
It always happens at Jordan-Hare Stadium. In the past 5 times they've been there, the average score is 28-28, dead even.
You're kidding. I didn't know that.
Insane.
What's the average score in Tuscaloosa during that time?
I think it's 46-28.
35-12.
Is it 35-12?
No, I just made that up.
I thought it was higher score. It's 46-20.
That's a lot of points.
7 or 28. Yeah, I think that's about where it is.
But it was, Auburn's finished 6-6. If they were 11-0 during this happened, this would have been absolutely.
Oh yeah, that would have been.
That would have been awful. But I can take it as So, in case you don't know, what happened on the last play Alabama had the ball?
It was basically Auburn decided to put 8 men into coverage, had 3 defensive linemen who were basically spying the quarterback so he wouldn't scramble. Why he would scramble, you don't know.
Yeah, because they were at the 31-yard line.
Yeah, that's right. 4th down and goal from the 31-yard line. About 45 seconds left to play. Last chance for Alabama, down by 4. Have to have a touchdown. Jalen Milroe drops back. He has 10 or 11 seconds of pocket time. Finds one-on-one coverage. DJ Moore, the Auburn cornerback, or DJ James, actually. I'm thinking of Coy Moore, the one who muffed the punt, which that's another subject, too. Which was
that led to this.
Oh, my Lord. That was
bad last few plays there. But anyway, the guy caught it. So Bond caught it.
Isaiah Bond caught it.
And I think the guy on the other side was also open.
That's right.
He had 2 choices. on the last play of the game. But, I mean, I'd give him credit. That was a great throw and a great catch. Auburn would have dropped that ball probably. Bond, that was great and good for Alabama, and now they have a chance to make the playoffs.
There's a chance, even though they're probably going to be ranked 8th going in.
Yeah, well.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah. So what is this rank for Iron Bowls that you remember?
Oh, top.
Which is what, the last 3? Is that
no,
last 8, 9?
My earliest Iron Bowl memory was the kick 6, which
it's a bad start,
but
a good finish.
As a 4-year-old, I cried.
4 years old. Okay, so this beats it. You were at the 4 overtime game.
I was there at that 4 overtime game, and I thought nothing could top this. Well, a Hail Mary might do that.
These were very entertaining games. I just want to be entertained at these, and that was.
You had your wish.
I really thought, this is going to be out of hand. I'll leave at halftime, beat all the traffic. And I didn't beat any traffic. It was really, but I mean, it was a great game. Auburn played well, and it baffles you that they lost to New Mexico State, got thumped by them the week before, but this shows they were looking ahead.
Oh yeah, they were
totally preparing for Alabama.
I mean, it's Auburn's Super Bowl. Whether you go 7-5 or 6-6, that New Mexico State game, apparently the players didn't matter because you're going to a Birmingham Bowl or something like that anyway.
Could be Shreveport.
Well, they could go to Independence Bowl. Or Liberty Bowl.
Or Liberty Bowl, yeah, Memphis. But does this change your opinion about Auburn?
Not really. It's just that Jordan-Hare magic. That's all it was.
I've heard it was Jordan-Hare voodoo.
Voodoo, yeah, voodoo's a better word.
The voodoo.
Whatever, I heard somebody say, whatever that stadium's built on is not good.
All right, so what now? I kind of asked you this last week, too. What will it take to get Alabama in the playoffs now? Does it change much?
A little bit. So, what Alabama needs to have happen, Bama's got to beat Georgia. That's the first thing. And then on Saturday, 3 teams ranked ahead of Alabama are playing for their conference championships. Texas, Florida State, and Michigan. One of those teams would have to go down.
Just one of them?
Just one.
Because so if Florida State loses, Alabama's in?
That is correct. Because if you think about it, let's say Alabama beats Georgia. That's basically knocking Georgia down below Alabama. Ohio State doesn't have a conference championship game. They're down below Alabama. Somebody's got to lose that Pac-12 championship game. They're below Alabama. That would put Bama at the 5th spot with 4 teams ahead of them. The Pac-12 champion, who Alabama's not going to jump. Then you'd have Texas, Florida State, and Michigan. One of those teams has to go down to open a spot for Alabama.
I really hate that Florida State lost Jordan Travis because they are not the same. This team's going to get wiped.
By whoever they play.
Yeah, somebody's going to wipe the floor with them. It's going to be like old Notre Dame stuff here.
Yes.
And I really hate that because they don't deserve it now. But they'll probably make it because Louisville's soft. But I don't know. It could be a good game.
Yeah, I mean, Louisville may be playing inspired football after losing to Kentucky.
Hopefully. I wouldn't mind seeing Florida State out. And I don't like him anyway. Goes back to Jimbo Fisher. Goes back to 2013.
You don't forgive
painful
Jimbo.
Memories.
You've never forgiven him.
It's kind of like the Alabama game. It was very late. I think it was 13 seconds left when Winston hit that touchdown pass to beat him. All right, so there's only a handful of college games. I think there's 10, counting some of these SMU type, Miami of Ohio, stuff like that. But what do you have on Zach's picks this week?
All right, well, I've been debating. Should I go with
SMU?
All 10 of them, or should I go with the Power 5?
Well, what'd you decide?
I decided on the Power 5.
Oh, there you go. No SMU.
Yeah, no SMU.
Or Miami of Ohio.
I didn't mind picking SMU, but yeah, the Miami of Ohio, maybe the Mountain West, Boise.
Appalachian State, Troy.
Appalachian State and Troy. Well,
that'd be a good one.
Troy will probably win that.
Troy's at home.
That's
big.
It's weird. I don't
good
understand home field advantage.
Yeah, sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't.
Oh, well. Anyway, first game. We're getting off subject early, aren't we?
Yeah,
we're getting to
always.
A good start.
I know.
All right, first game, Friday night, normally reserved for high school. Tonight we got college, Oregon and Washington. But it's probably going to be a top 5 matchup. Who do you have winning?
Oregon this time. I picked Oregon last time, and I'm still kind of surprised they lost that game. They've been a lot more dominant than Washington. Maybe Washington just gets up for this again.
You may be right.
They're really good. I got to give Washington credit. I did not see them doing this well.
No, I didn't.
Great season.
I didn't see Oregon doing this either. I thought USC was going to finally have that breakthrough season in the Pac-12. Oh. I didn't expect these two teams to do it.
And Lincoln Riley, boy, they looked terrible. Yeah. I don't know what happened.
And it's funny because this is basically the last season of the Pac-12.
This is it.
Almost everybody is going to abandon the league.
Those
go
2 teams left.
They've got Washington State and Oregon State left.
It's a 2-team conference.
What's going to happen to them, we don't know, because it seems like a 2-team conference is going to be kind of hard to sell.
I don't know if somebody starts joining them or they run off to the Mountain West, something like that.
Whatever it is, it's not going to be good. But I have to go Oregon as well.
I'm going Oregon, yeah.
Because Oregon's got more talent. It's a better team, better coaching. I don't know how they lost to Washington the first time.
Then they're playing really well. I mean, they killed Oregon State last week. I thought that'd be a lot closer than that.
Next game, we're going to go to. This is looking like a laugher. Michigan's a 23-point favorite over Iowa in the Big Ten championship game. Does Iowa have any chance here?
Iowa's going to score maybe 13 points, so they would have to win 13-10. Michigan have to have a bunch of turnovers. That is a huge number for a Big Ten game. I mean, these teams don't score usually. Iowa cannot score. I mean, just look at their scores this year.
I watched
13-10 last week on last play of the game because Nebraska blew it as usual.
Jeez, that was painful to watch. I watched that game.
Every game that's Nebraska.
Yeah, I watched that to see if Iowa had a chance to beat Michigan.
No, they have no chance.
They have no chance.
No.
Michigan's probably.
That is a huge line, though.
It is.
I couldn't believe it. So what do you have next?
Next game is going to be Oklahoma State at Texas.
How in the world did Oklahoma State make this game?
They were down by
I have no idea.
18 points to BYU last week. They came back and they win in 2 overtimes.
And that's what it. So who would have been in this game if that had not happened?
Oklahoma. It would have been a Red River rematch.
Lot better game.
I don't know because
Texas. Well, you're a secret Oklahoma State fan.
I am. Yeah, don't tell anybody. I prefer Oklahoma State because somebody asked me, "Who's your second favorite team?" I never gave much thought to it. I was only 5 or 6 years old, so went with Oklahoma State.
You just picked them. I like the logo. The
it's
cowboy.
a very nice logo.
Yeah. Good colors too.
Well, orange is not the greatest color, but
I think maybe
they can be forgiven.
That's a tough game for them.
But also, one of my premises with Oklahoma State is if they're an underdog, bank on them doing well. They're an underdog. Oh, I'm not going to pick them.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled the upset. One of those 3 teams, Texas, Florida State, or Michigan, is probably going to go down. I mean, it's college football. There's going to be chaos.
I would think it would probably be this one. Or maybe Florida State. I don't know.
Somebody's going to go down. I'm just not willing to wager a pick on one of them. So I'm going to go with Texas, but I'm very unconfident.
Right. I'm going Texas. I am pretty confident. I think Ohio State. What is crazy is remember early in the year South Alabama beat them 33-7 at their place. How in the world?
How does that happen?
I thought this team was going to be terrible, so I give them a lot of credit for turning it around after that. Got thumped by South Alabama. That's barely a bowl team.
Yeah, after they turned it around, they got thumped by UCF 45-3. The week after they knocked down Oklahoma. Oklahoma State never makes sense.
That shows they can beat anybody, but they can also lose by 40.
To anybody.
Yeah.
Because UCF is not an impressive team. I mean, look who their head coach is.
Yet again, that's a 6-16, I think. They barely made a bowl game.
Barely.
So they lost to 2 teams that barely made a bowl game.
That's insane. All right, next game, Louisville, Florida State in Charlotte. Louisville's coming off a humiliating loss to their biggest rival, Kentucky. Florida State is without their quarterback. It's down to Tate Rodemaker. Who's going to win this game?
Boy, I got to go Florida State, but I am not confident. Louisville just looked. Their offense is okay. We give up 38 points to Kentucky. They tied it, and then they lost, and then their other loss is Pitt. Won 2 or 3 games. I mean,
3-9.
They could be sitting here undefeated if they
would just put away some of their opponents.
Yeah, Pitt. You can't lose to Pitt, but Florida State now without their quarterback, they've taken a huge dip. But I'll still think they'll win by a touchdown, maybe.
I agree. I think it's going to be close. And once again, I'm not confident picking Florida State.
I don't.
This is one of those weeks where, everybody's a good favorite, but you're just not confident picking anybody. I'm going to go with Florida State. But then again, if Louisville pulls an upset, I wouldn't be surprised.
I want to see the SEC getting this. If Alabama wins, I want to see the chaos.
I do too.
And how this falls. Since Auburn is pretty much bound for the Birmingham Bowl
Auburn's
or Shreveport
going
or whatever.
Birmingham or Shreveport. Maybe they may back into a Liberty Bowl.
Yeah, Memphis will be interesting. It's close
it would.
to.
Maybe they'll wind up playing Memphis in the Liberty Bowl. Now, that would be interesting.
Yeah, that would be tough. So what are we down to now?
Next game, final game, SEC Championship. Of course, it'd be SEC Championship game.
This is a good one.
It is. It's Bama, Georgia again for the
umpteenth time.
They've played. I want to say they've played in the postseason 6 times since that 2012 game. Counting 2012 6 times, so you would have the national championship game twice, a couple of SEC titles in there. Bama's only lost once to Georgia since in those championship games. That national championship game in Indianapolis, 33-18 that I was at. That was miserable.
It was 2 degrees outside.
It was less than 2 degrees. I got to say that. That was awful, but that's the only time Georgia's been able to do that, when Alabama was basically on its last legs because of injuries.
And wasn't it close at the half?
It was. Alabama
really
had
close.
the lead in the fourth quarter. They were up 18
Wow,
to 13.
just ran out of
And
gas.
then it's like an old car, old jalopy in a demolition derby. There, it's beaten up, it's battered, but it's still going, and then it sputtered and died. And,
Finally went out fourth quarter there.
But do you see Alabama sputtering out and dying here Saturday, or do you see Alabama winning? What do you see happening?
Now, I never pick against Alabama, almost like 99% of the time. This is the 1%.
Really?
I don't know. They're missing a little bit, but Georgia's not great. It's pretty much the same team. You know, they've had their moments. They both almost lost to Auburn. They both, kind of struggled last week, speaking of Georgia Tech against Georgia. I know they came back and made it closer than it really was, but Georgia hasn't. They're not as good, I guess is what I'm trying to say, with the last 2 years. So Alabama is, they're in the spot to win this game. Saban gets that team up. Like you said, I didn't realize they've only lost to them once. But I know Georgia's about a touchdown favorite, maybe a little bit less.
6
That
points.
seems like a big line to me.
So you're picking Georgia.
I am going Georgia.
See, 2 years ago, I picked Georgia in the SEC championship game because I thought there's no way this Alabama team that's barely surviving against Arkansas and Auburn and loses to Texas A&M, there's no way they were going to beat undefeated #1 Georgia. But they did. So
Yes, they did.
just history repeats itself. Take history. I got to go with Alabama. I can't pick against
like
them.
you're going to pick against. Yeah, there's no way.
I can't. I just can't. I picked against them once and they won by 17. So
What game was that?
that was that SEC championship game 2 years ago.
Oh, that's it.
That's the only time.
All time, one time.
That's once.
Okay.
So,
Wow. This is probably the first time I have in years also.
So I won't pick against Saban. Now, one of these days when he retires, then yeah. But for now,
when Lane Kiffin's the coach.
then watch your language.
I know, right?
Please, no.
Speaking of, that was a terrible egg bowl, by the way, on an unrelated topic. But they did win. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see in 10 years who replaces Nick Saban, 85-year-old Nick Saban.
But that's 10 years from now.
Yes, we don't have to worry about that yet.
I would say go on to the next game, but that's it. All 5 of our Power Conference champions. Of course, next year there's only going to be 4 because the Pac-12, of course, will not exist.
It's a shame.
So
it really is. I really wish they would have held that conference together, but they couldn't do it.
For the final time, we have Power 5 championships. Next year it's going to be Power 4.
Yeah, that's true. That's going to be interesting. Hopefully that we get some upsets in those games.
Yeah,
Alabama
make
will
it
be one of
fun.
them. Yeah, I want to see Alabama get in the mix and everybody debating who should be in there, especially if Florida State wins, because they're a different team. They're just not the same.
That's true. Now I have a question. You're an Auburn fan, of course. Who do you hate worse, Alabama or Georgia?
Georgia. Georgia fans.
It's understandable. It's
Alabama
understandable.
fans really a little annoying sometimes, but they're not
Yes.
mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I appreciate that's a
They're not-
compliment.
They're not. Georgia fans could just be mean. But Tennessee fans are like that.
They take pride
Alabama
in it.
and Auburn fans are actually pretty good.
It's
when you
almost
look
like
at the whole conference.
a sibling rivalry almost, Alabama and Auburn, with a few fights.
Yes, I know a lot of Alabama fans, obviously. But, yeah, most of them are nice here. And Tennessee, though, when they're good again, you forget how their fans are. They can be rough, especially in Knoxville. But anyway, yeah, it was a good, interesting game. I didn't hear anything bad walking back to my car because everybody was silent.
I bet. I bet. That
stunned
was a
silence
stunned
all the way.
atmosphere.
Now you'd hear the occasional roll tide, but that was it. They'd be yelling back and forth at each other.
Oh yes, that's a good experiment.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Of course,
it was an interesting game.
I'm
and
sure.
I was really happy with the way the team played.
I'm sure it feels weird to have somebody come into your home turf and then they're all celebrating afterwards. Like in Tuscaloosa, when the Texas fans were there celebrating, that was such an off feeling.
Yeah, it's rare, especially. But the thing is, I did say that saved Auburn from getting a fine because they were about to storm the field again.
That's true. So you got to look on the bright
side. And it saved those
side.
bushes. People have been jumping in the bushes again.
Those
like
poor
a couple
bushes.
years. Yes. They need another year off, so maybe in 2 years they can do that again. Hopefully, Freeze gets his people in there. Anyway, another tangent, as we usually do here.
Hey, we're
going
good
to
at
end
that.
on a tangent. Yes.
That's the way you got to end.
Right. All right, so we'll be back next week. I encourage everybody to like and subscribe to the show. Thank you for watching. Thanks to Bevill State for sponsoring and Jake for producing. We'll see you next week.